Week and Geek, your new comics preview for September 26th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
What do you got?
I'm going to lead off with Gambit here by James Asmus, penciled by Clay Mann. This is the first issue didn't totally grab me. I really wanted to like a Gambit book, but I said, well, I don't know what's going on in here, but I'm going to keep reading. The second book, the plot thickened a little, and it got a little more interesting. I'm digging it. I want to see where it's going. It looks like Psylocke's in this issue. We're going to maybe start getting a little bit more of a cool little Gambit X-Men sort of adventure. Looking forward to it. James Asmus is also the new writer on the current Thief of Thieves arc. And has been doing a good job in at least that first issue there. Next, we're looking at FF, number 22 by Jonathan Hickman. This is sort of wrapping up Hickman's run here, getting to the end. How many more issues does he have? Like one or two?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so this one, this is again focusing on the kids and the future foundation. That sort of aspect.
This picks up after the last issue of the Fantastic Four.
Oh, does it? Okay.
With, the clone of the Wizard or whatever meets the Wizard at the end of that one. I think hopefully that will continue in this. Okay.
Well, you've got these have been complimentary books anyway the whole way through so far. Next up, we're looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 14. I really like this book. It's fun Ninja Turtles. It's a new take on everything that's going on, but still feels like the Turtles you know.
Right.
But kind of, updating things a little bit. And you got some fun stuff in there. Krang's in this issue. I've always enjoyed Krang. So, it's a big brain guy that lives in somebody's chest. That's awesome. Then I've got Invincible number 95. I've been loving this. Obviously, we're building up towards something there, talking about issue 100, and Kirkman loves killing people in issue 100. Well, not that he has a long track record, but he really upset a lot of us with Walking Dead. So
he kills people all the time, though. So not.
That's true, but in that 100 of Walking Dead, there was someone so surprising, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do something crazy like that again here in Invincible.
Maybe more than one person.
Perhaps, maybe. I've certainly got my suspects of people that I think are going to go. But this here is sort of finishing up the story with Robot and Monster Girl, how they had been trapped in this other dimension, and it's going back and showing what happened. They ended up being there for hundreds of years, so it seemed, although time passed differently, and they come back here minutes later. But they now have this very, very long history because they've lived for hundreds of years, and it looks like they're some kind of king and queen here. They're going to wrap that story up and kind of tell us where they're at and why things are the way they are. Kirkman does such a great job. I mean, obviously people really like Walking Dead. Zombies are all the rage right now. But he's also writing what is probably the best, most intriguing and interesting superhero book on the stands. And, this is something that I would love to see done as a TV series. They're mining all of his other stuff. Superheroes are huge. Why aren't we talking Invincible movie? Why aren't we talking Invincible TV show?
Even an animated show would be great.
Oh, man. Yes, it would. Then I'm looking at American Vampire number 31. This is The Blacklist Part 4. I'm not even sure what time we're in at this point. I am behind on this story arc. The way I've been working with these the American Vampires, I get behind an arc, I finish the arc. When it finishes up,
turning it into a trade paperback that you're buying monthly.
Pretty much. It's working a little better for me that way, just because I have so little time.
I do that with a lot of Vertigo books. They really do read better. Yes. And that way, it's just when I've got 30 or 40. Already in single issues, you just want to keep doing like that.
Yeah, rather than switching and doing the trade, because then you got some on your shelf and
then you can't have half of them in a box and half of them on a shelf.
It doesn't work that way.
No, that's not.
Then you got to make a decision.
Right. So either way, you're rebuying half the story one way or another.
Next up, I'm looking at Mars Attacks number 4 by John Layman and John McCree. I really like this book. It really is taking the old trading card set and making a story out of it. Those cards made no sense at all whatsoever, and it's doing the best it can with taking those little pieces. Like there's a card with a guy riding a giant bug, like a giant flea, and it turns out it's a guy with a flea circus who, uses some kind of alien technology to make them big, and he's ready to fight back.
All right.
And in this one, I'm not sure what we got going on here. It looks like we're jumping through time. There's Native Americans and Revolutionary soldiers and cowboys, and looks kind of interesting. I don't know where they're going there. I mean, maybe a little different from where they left off. I thought we were going to pick up from the guy with the giant flea circus, but I guess not. It's still been fun, though. Really, really like this book. I like John Layman's style. Then I'm looking at Superman Family Adventures number 5 by R. Baltazar and Franco. I really like it. This is fun Superman. Really, really fun stuff. Is that Franco right there? Is that Who's that supposed to? Oh, Otis, okay. And they're dressing Otis up like Art and Franco.
Oh, nice.
You know, the little hats and the spiffy clothing there. Really, really just great stuff. If you just want a fun Superman book, this is it. This is, if you love everything that you've ever seen growing up, the movies and the cartoons and all that sort of stuff, this takes all of that and makes it something that you can have a fun time with for, 10 minutes or so at a clip. Next up, we're looking at Mind the Gap, issue 5. I really, really like this book. It's a really bizarre mystery, and it's building a lot of intrigue with the family, of the girl that's in a coma, and the plot's building to something. Obviously, there's a mystery, and you got to figure out what the hell's going on. They've done a pretty good job, I think, of giving us backstory so far and fleshing things out. It's not quite like Morning Glories, where at the end of each issue, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is managing the mystery a little better and giving you a little story, at least in my opinion. I'm really liking it, and I think he's doing a great job with it. Then I've got Debris, issue number 3. This book has been just really, really cool. The artwork on this is incredible.
Yeah.
Fans of Riley anyway, but this biomechanical kind of weirdness that he's doing.
Especially with these bright colors. Very, very powerful colors in this book.
Well, I think it's someone different coloring him. Who's he got there? Owen Genie? Genie? Usually Riley colors himself, so it's a little more muted and those soft tones. But yeah, this just pops so well and works so great with his art. This is a fun one.
Very European sci-fi looking style.
Yes, yeah, definitely something that you could find in heavy metal or something. Yeah, it's really, really cool book. And it's only, I think, a 4-issue miniseries. Yep. And that takes me through the bulk of my stack. What are you looking at?
Well, I'm going to start off here with Star Trek Next Generation Doctor Who crossover. This is Assimilation Squared. This has been a lot of fun. Definitely, they do a great job of capturing the voices of the characters. Okay. This really does feel like it could have been a crossover episode. It would have been a great crossover, but obviously it could never happen between the BBC and Paramount or CBS, who I guess owns the television stuff. Not to mention the fact that this happens basically 20 years ago in Next Generation time, so everybody's just a little bit older than this now. But again, they do a great job. It's the Cybermen and the Borg team up. And as of last issue, the Cybermen and the Borg, they start fighting because that's what evil cyborgs eventually do. Right. And, that's pretty much the only reason why they don't take over. But if you like Doctor Who or Star Trek, this is a really good book. If you like both, then it's a great book.
It's been really popular.
Yeah, great stuff.
I maybe sell 6 Star Trek a month and maybe 2 or 3 Doctor Who a month. It's only like 25 a month for that thing. It's been really, really popular.
And I don't get the other stuff either. It's just such a great idea for a crossover.
That's how a lot of people felt. Like they just had to do it.
If you want Doctor Who, you can watch Doctor Who. If you want Star Trek, you can watch Star Trek. But if you want Star Trek and Doctor Who, this is the only place you can get it. So I hope IDW does more of these. Next up, Wolverine and the X-Men number 17. Looks like we're finally out of the Avengers vs. X-Men stuff, even though the book hasn't ended. This is the first one that hasn't had the banner on the cover. And this has got Mike Allred and Dupe. So if you were a fan,
it looks fun.
If you were a fan of the old X-Static book, this is for you, I'm sure. Jason Aaron has been right. I mean, his writing is a lot of fun. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get some of the old X-Statics channeled in here. Looks like we got She-Hulk on roller skates and Tigra on roller skates. So yeah, this is going to be kind of a wacky, zany book with some killer artwork.
Yeah, the art looks great.
Next up, Winter Soldier number 11. Again, we've got Ed Brubaker and Butch Guice on this. This has been a great book. This is the kind of spy book.
It's really good.
I'm a couple issues behind. Looks like we got Hawkeye joining the battle here. The last issue I read, Winter Soldier was going up against one of the old sleeper agents from the KGB that he once was also, and his revenge plot against Bucky. So it looks like that story is continuing. Well, this has been a great book. God, this really is good artwork.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is kind of the darker edge stuff that a lot of that was missing from Brubaker's Cap run for quite a while. A lot of that's sort of been channeled over here with even a little bit more spy stuff. It's almost like a weird superhero Born Identity thing going on. Next up, Hit Girl number 3 by Mark Miller and John Romita Jr. This is the story that takes place between Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2. It
Right.
focuses on Hit Girl. Hit Girl is teaching Kick-Ass how to be a better hero, and Kick-Ass is teaching Hit Girl how to actually pass as a normal child. So teaching her about buying jeans and things like that. She's really not very good at it. She just wants to kill everybody, but she has to try and fit in with all the girls at school, and she has now decided to destroy the popular kids. So it's a lot of fun. Next up, Fury Max number 6. This has been a great book. You know, we talked about the kind of Born Identity espionage stuff. This is just a classic, good old-fashioned Cold War book. This is Nick Fury in Cuba. The Bay of Pigs has gone down and everything has gone sour. And Nick Fury and one, it looks like one or two other guys who were part of this are now trapped, cut off from the Americans, captured by the communists in Cuba. This is just great stuff. This is not the kind of this is not Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, this guy is not that kind of a super spy. This is a much more realistic Nick Fury, former war hero, now kind of CIA agent or whatever. But it's great stuff. Like I said before, if you take the eye patch off, you could pretty much make this an image book that's just a good classic Cold War espionage book.
Garth Ennis does the war stuff well.
Really, really good stuff. Next up, we've got Amazing Spider-Man 694 with a great Superman versus Spider-Man parody cover. This is Spider-Man versus Alpha. Alpha was his brief sidekick, who Peter was responsible for him getting his powers, so he's going to train him to be a hero. Alpha has not learned that with great power comes great responsibility. He just pretty much wants to get everything for himself. And Peter now basically realizes that if he doesn't do something to take his powers away, Alpha's going to wind up being a pretty badass supervillain.
Or he could just kill his uncle.
Or that could work too. Although he just emancipated himself from his parents, so he's apparently not too fond of his family. I don't think that's going to work. So yeah, this is a kind of an interesting story. Really goes right to the heart of what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man, with those issues of responsibility and power. And now he was supposed to mentor this child, and he kind of screwed up. So now he has to deal with the consequences of that. Next up, Batman Incorporated number 0. Like all these Zero issues, this is going to be kind of a getting the team together, a little bit of information about many of the characters that are part of this Batman Incorporated universe, because this is Batman from around the world. This one is actually, I think, co-written by Grant Morrison and Chris Burnham with artwork by Fraser Irving.
Right.
A lot of good stuff in here, great artwork, and just a huge cast of characters as we find out a little bit more about this international Batman team. Next up, Red Lanterns number 0. To tell you the truth, all of the Lantern books except for the main book, by the time they hit those issue 12s, they kind of dropped the ball a little bit. They really kind of lost interest in the big stories they were telling. And that definitely was true for Red Lanterns. It started off good. It was still well done, well written. I just sort of lost interest in where the story was going. But now all of them are going to be joining together for the Third Army storyline. Okay. So hopefully this is going to be the beginning of a new take for the book, a new direction for the book, the way that it was for New Guardians, which actually was a very good new start. I don't know if they're going to give much more backdrop of Atrocitus. I think his story has been fairly well told, although it looks like this is going to be a little bit more detail about the Manhunters wiping out Atrocitus's world. So it's information we've been given, but I guess they're going to show us a little bit more detail and hopefully kind of give this book the kick in the pants that I think it needs. Next up, Superman number 0. This is the first book by the new team of Scott Lobdell and Kenneth Rocafort. This goes back to Krypton. This is really
cool.
This is the story of Jor-El. Does it actually end with him launching Kal into space? No, actually, it just looks like it's going to focus a little bit more on Jor-El.
Well, he had done that when he took that little break and went back and explored the stuff on Krypton, right? So is it just kind of maybe an origin to that?
It looks like he realizes this is where Jor-El comes to the conclusion at the end that Krypton is doomed. Okay. So this kind of leads into the origin of Superman. Kind of a neat place to take it. Great artwork by Kenneth Rocafort. And we'll see if Scott Lobdell can kind of kickstart this book as well. So that's the bulk of my stack.
All right, I guess that will take me to the top of my stack here. where I'm looking at The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror number 18. This is a great one. This is a fun one that I look forward to every year. I don't read The Simpsons comics regularly. I do like the show. I don't really read the comic book, although it sort of feels like it's the new Archies in some way. You know, those Simpsons comics, when they came out at the height of their popularity, you thought, wow, how long is this going to last? Here we are, all those years later. And this, is just what I really like about it is it's about 3 or 4 short stories, usually by some of the industry's top talent. And this time around, we get a lead-off story by local guys, Chris and Shane Houghton, who have moved to L.A. They were doing Reed Gunther. And so I'm kind of excited about that. Kind of excited to see what they do with The Simpsons. And there's some other fun stuff in here. It looks like there's a Batman parody in here somewhere. There's Bartman and Lisa as the Joker, which looks pretty good.
Oh, wow.
So it's just always kind of fun. It's a special little treat that you get every year towards October and close to Halloween. So I am looking forward to that one. What do you got there?
I am going to make my top pick Happy by Grant Morrison and Derek Robertson. This week out in Las Vegas, Morrison Con is going on.
Okay.
And both of these guys are going to be there. A very unusual kind of comic book convention symposium. This is Grant Morrison's first creator-owned book for Image. I know he did. He did Spawn. I think he might have done some other work for hire stuff way back in the '90s when Image was selling like crazy. But yeah, normally this type of stuff would wind up at Vertigo, but he's trying things out at Image. I'm not really sure what this book is about.
Is this some kind of assassin?
I read a little
guy?
bit. It's an assassin. Apparently, there is a crazed Santa Claus and a flying blue cartoon horse. So we've got crazed Santa, flying cartoon horse, blue cartoon horse, and an assassin.
He looks like My Little Donkey.
Yeah. So and then the title is Happy. And I have no idea. He's an hallucination, an imaginary friend. Happy is the name of this horse. So it's a hitman's imaginary friend, flying blue. Actually, is that kind of a unicorn horn too? Yeah. Strange stuff. Only Grant Morrison can come up with this stuff. And if this is anything like good, crazy Grant Morrison stuff, I will love it.
It's a 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah, it's
so it won't not make sense for 30 issues only to tie it back in later.
Right. This will be a little bit tighter, but yeah, definitely going to be some strange stuff, and God knows what he's got in store with this strange little creature. But you know what? I really like Grant Morrison's work, and this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. If nothing else. I do have one other shout out I want to make.
Okay.
This week, the Ultimates number 16, I believe 16, came out. This is the one where basically Captain America becomes president of the United States in the Ultimate Universe. There was some controversy about that. This story got leaked a while back. This was supposed to be kind of a big deal, but if you remember, years ago, Marvel Comics did that Captain America running for president thing, and very, very appropriate for the times right now with a presidential election coming up. So take a look at that if you want to see some politics. And hell, if Captain America was running in this,
I'd vote for Steve Rogers.
Hell, I'd vote for Chris Evans. What the hell? He was good in that movie.
It's not like we've never had an actor as president.
This is true.
They all act like they're trying to help us. So with that is your Week in Geek.